Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being here today. I wanted to come out and just make a quick audio video of mine and thought I would just talk about this because I'm seeing it often enough on different social media platforms, and I don't know, it just made me a little concerned, and I thought that I would make a short little video about this. So, as many of you may know, and you may also be possibly experiencing this, a lot of people have lost their jobs recently, and it seems like the trajectory of that happening is just going up and up. And I can only imagine what kind of pain and misery and confusion and frustration and horror that must be wreaking on your lives. I'm living through it, experienced it, so I totally understand where you might be at this point. And so I just wanted to come out and encourage you and tell you that one thing I've noticed is that for a lot of us, especially those that are not, I would say, 25 years or under, certainly above that, much above that, we were brought up in a kind of environment and culture, especially in our country, where we were told that, okay, you go to school, you graduate, you either go to the military, or you go to VOTEC, or you go to college, or you start a business, or take up a business from your parents, or whatever the case may be. And few of us were actually urged or encouraged, I would say, when it came to starting your own business or being an entrepreneur or any of that. I don't even think startup back then was a word or terminology. Nonetheless, and of course, e-commerce was virtually, no pun intended, non-existent. So obviously in the last decade, 2 decades, maybe even 3 decades, a lot of things have changed for a lot of people, and we have a lot of different venues and ideas and things that are happening culturally in our country, in the world. Certainly COVID played a big role in that too. So in many ways, we are progressing towards a kind of society and towards a kind of world that's actually beneficial. It allows more and more people to come out there and do things and build things and create things, which is wonderful. But at the same time, there's some, problems with advanced technology as well. As what we're seeing is, now we're talking about, people losing their jobs and whatnot because they're being replaced with technology in various forms. So I just wanted to kind of touch base with you guys who are following me, who might be listening to my audios when I'm talking about small business and entrepreneurship and just your source of income and so on and so forth. And that is going back to what I was saying earlier. A lot of us grew up with this idea, whether it was taught to us by our parents or peers or teachers or just the culture, whatever it was, that you go to school, and then once you graduate, you need to have a job, and you need to do this 9 to 5 kind of a job, and that's what you work on all your life practically until you get to the point where it's time to retire. And once you're retired, then that's it. You just live off of your pension, or you live off your 401k, or your whatever your savings are. And so I want to encourage those of you who are in that situation, who grew up with that kind of mentality, that kind of training. It's a scary place to be, because every day we wake up and there's a new technology, a new instrument, a new platform for social media, or whatever the case may be, that you have to kind of get used to and understand and digest, and then try to put that back in some form that you understand, that you can work on, and you can create something with that helps and enhances your life. And sometimes those tools work and sometimes they don't. So that is a whole different story. And, we can discuss that another time. But the point I'm making is that we seem to have to like continuously be shifting ourselves with the ever shifting change of progression. And sometimes this can cause a lot of stress, a lot of mental tension, especially, as you start getting older. I remember a time when I was very, very young, many, many moons ago, that, if I had people who were in retirement age and whatnot, I would think, I always found it fascinating, the life they must have lived. And, that's my historian in me, even in my childhood. But I always thought, gosh, you've seen so much, what experiences you must have had. And I would talk to them, and, it was like a form of storytelling, just sitting there and listening to them and listening to their stories. And I wondered what it was like for them, because a lot of times I would hear them say, how difficult it is for them to kind of relate to my generation that was coming up, and so on and so forth. And so now it's like I'm on the other side of it, right? So I see the new generation that's coming up, and every day there's advancements, and it's a lot. And I don't think I'm doing too badly, but yet, it's a lot that comes out daily that we are coping with, that we're dealing with, that we're trying to understand and manage and find ways to apply to our lives. So it can be tremendously overwhelming at times. But I want to encourage those of you who are listening to me and might be in the same situation, or might be experiencing some of these things and feeling confused or frustrated and thinking to yourself, my gosh, what do I do now with my life? I had this plan, I was going to do this, then I was going to retire. I'm, 10, 15, 20 years away from it. And, I don't know what to do. A lot of you may just be feeling stressed because you need to go out there and get a job because you have bills to pay. Some of you may have families, some of you may have student loan debt, or whatever the case may be. And you are feeling crushed with the stress of, how do I get that paycheck? How do I get the money so I can pay my bills and I can support myself and support my family, or whatever the case may be. And I just want to encourage you that if you are finding yourself in that situation, don't do what we have been trained to do, which is to quickly jump out there and get the first job. Don't do that. I know it's such an easy thing to do, and it's such a reactive thing to do, and it's the thing that we've, as I said, been trained to do. Not sit around idly, but just go out there and get something and get going. Now, if you're in a position where you're struggling and you need to make ends meet, by all means, take that part-time job, take that full-time job, take whatever it is, take a gig, whatever it is to get yourself going and keep yourself stable. However, if you are able to take this time, do take a moment to think about where you are. Take a moment to reflect on where you are in life and where you are going. Now, I'm speaking very specifically from experience. Earlier this week, I decided I was going to just turn everything off. Like, I went underground, and it's amazing that I'm making this video now because I'm supposed to be underground. I did come up for air today, and that's because there were some things going on. Unfortunately, don't want to go too deep into it, but a very dear friend of mine may possibly have cancer, and so I couldn't necessarily not be around there for her. Anyway, I just wanted to make this video to encourage you to not jump into the next thing. I believe a 9-to-5 is something we were trained to take on, and a lot of times we did, and a lot of times we did it repeatedly because that's all we knew how to do, or that's all we were told to do. And a lot of us lost our true selves in the process of keeping up with those 9-to-5 jobs that either we took because someone told us we should do that and that's what we need to do, or we had to do it because of necessity, or whatever the case may have been. So if you have a moment to spare, do take the time to kind of just give yourself a few minutes to breathe, to think about where you are in life, where you want it to be, and where you're trying to go. And it may just be that you're comfortable with the 9 to 5, and that's okay. But if you're anything, let's say like me, you want to do more than just be enslaved to a 9 to 5 job, especially if it's a job that you hate, if it's giving you a lifestyle that you hate, it's just not the way to live. It's just not the way to live, guys. We only have one life. And a lot of us dedicate our lives to others, to whether it's people, whether it's professions, whether it's whatever it is. And we just completely lose sight of who we are. We don't even know who we are by the time we come out of it. And then one day we sit there and find ourselves thinking, oh gosh, I remember when I had that dream that I was going to accomplish this or that or whatever. Really, when was the last time you had a conversation with yourself? No, I'm not talking about sitting across from a therapist, with all due respect to them. I'm talking about yourself. Like, when was the last time you talked to your 10-year-old self, or your 8-year-old self, or your 11-year-old self? What was she wanting you to do in your life? What dreams did your 10-year-old self have that she or he wanted to accomplish by the time they were 20, or by the time you were 20 or 30 or 40, whatever the case may be? Wherever you are in life, what is it that was your dream? What is it that was your goal? What were the things that motivated you? And what were the things that played a catalyst in your life and threw you off to the point where now here you are 15, 20, 25, 30 years later, looking back at your life and realizing, my gosh, the whole thing is gone. And I didn't do anything that I had envisioned for myself. You know, if you have this moment where you lost your job, either because you quit or you got fired or whatever the case may be, take some time to think about who you are, who you were, and who you're going to be. Are you going to just continue on and take another job and live whatever's left of your life in misery? Or are you going to take some drastic steps to change the trajectory for yourself? Because it's very, very crucial. For me, I have decided this is my year, 2023, of do or die. Our famous slogan for all of you American historians and history fans, join or die, right? Join or die. So for me, this year is do or die. I'm either going to break through this tunnel that I've put myself in intentionally, or I'm going down. And no, please, you don't have to call the cops or anything. I'm perfectly fine. I'm just making a point that I have purposely put myself in a cocoon at the moment because I want to come out a butterfly. I'm sick and tired of being the caterpillar. I'm sick and tired of being in the cocoon. I'm sick and tired of just eating the leaves like a caterpillar because that's what's in front of me, and really not having any sense of direction as to where I'm going, except that the next leaf is up ahead and I have to get to that and feed myself, and that's it. I want to metamorphosize myself once I come out of this cocoon and fly away from one flower to another in the sky, see the sunshine, feel the breeze. I want to have that experience for myself, because for so long I have not even done anything remotely in consideration for myself. And I think that I owe that to myself. I've arrived at a point in my life where I know that I owe myself that much, at least that much. So I'm always for helping others, supporting them, being loving, being caring. You have family, you have elderly parents, you have grandkids, you have co-workers, you have spouses, we all have responsibilities to people that we care about. No doubt about it. And I'm not suggesting ignore those. I'm not suggesting don't work. I'm not suggesting don't tend to people and your responsibilities. But what I am suggesting is put yourself in that list, because you have a responsibility to yourself as well. You owe yourself something. You owe that 10-year-old little girl something. You owe that 15-year-old young man something. You owe yourself something. And it's high time that you did something about it. The number one reason people don't think about this stuff, or more than that, don't act on it, is fear. They're afraid to take a chance. It's too risky. I want to be safe. I want to be in my comfort zone. I want to know that at the end of the week I'm getting that paycheck. And again, I'm not admonishing anyone. I've done it, been there 100 times, probably worse than you. But the point is, we all have to come to a point in our lives where we have to recognize we cannot take our lives for granted anymore. There's a purpose for us being here, and it has got to be more than just working in a dead-end, unsatisfying job just to pay bills. Guys, we're more than just paying bills. We're more than just machines who must work to pay bills just so that we can get our bread and butter. We are more than that. We are writers. We're authors. We're artists. We're musicians. Do you know, if you played the piano, for example, and if you play it well, you have the ability to move hearts, to move minds. I have experienced this myself. No, I am not a piano player, but I have deep respect for musicians, because you can literally change the way a person feels if you know what you're doing. If you can make somebody feel something in their heart when they're listening to your music, you're a true artist. In my book, you are hands down a true artist. And you deserve to be heard. No, not deserve. You are needed to be heard. But are you being heard behind you in the kitchen doing those dishes by hand? Are you being heard sitting in your cubicle in an office typing away on a computer some financial figures? Are you being heard, taking someone on a test drive behind a wheel in a driver's training car? You need to be heard. Your work needs to be seen. You're made for more than what you have become. I just implore you to take this time to think, to reflect back on your life, to think about who you truly are and what is it that you're trying to achieve in this life. Because guess what? It's the only one you've got. It is the only one you have got. That needs to sink into your brain and your heart. And time waits for no one. You don't own time. You can't stop it. So, I hope that this message will find you well. It will find you safe. It will find you in the midst of doing something productive, something creative, something that's going to engage the world. But if it just starts in your home, if it just starts in your neighborhood, if it just starts in your state, in your country, whatever, take it one step at a time. But before you can expand on those horizons, it must start in your heart. So for those of you who are like me, working on this, I'm encouraging you, do not quit the course. I know there's a lot of disappointment and discouragement and frustration and stress, and you just want to give up. And it would be the simplest and the easiest thing to do. Don't do it. Stay the course. Stay the course. And for those of you, you feel that you're where you want to be and where you need to be and you're just perfectly fine, I applaud you. I applaud you that you have arrived at that place in your life where you're happy, where you're at peace. And I hope that that will continue to be the case for you. So I had told myself I was not going to make this a long video. I suspect that I probably have again. I know nobody's listening to my 30-minute videos, but I just want to say this and put it out there anyway, because my rule is always if only one person is listening to me, then that's a good day for me. So on that note, I want to thank you again. And if there's anything that I can do for you or in any way I can encourage you or support you, please do leave me a message. Write down whatever you want to write on the comments. I will definitely respond, or send me an email. Just keep in touch. Please connect with me if I can help you with anything. Because that's why I'm putting these videos out. I'm not a celebrity. I'm not an influencer. I'm just an average person, just like you. I'm just putting it out there with the hopes that it will encourage someone and help someone to get up and do what they were meant to do. Do what they were meant to do. So until next time, keep creating.